Good evening and welcome to the August 2nd, 2011 Waterboro Board of Selectmen meeting. If you'd rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first order of business this evening, after our announcements, will be a public hearing. Are there any announcements to be made at this time? No announcements. We'll move right into the public hearing. The Waterboro Board of Selectmen will be holding a public hearing on Tuesday, August 2nd, 2011, at 6 p.m. in the town office meeting room to hear public comment on a request to rename the following roads. Ross Corner Road. The North Waterboro end of Ross Corner Road from the intersection of Middle Road and Ross Corner Road to the Clarks Bridge Road be renamed Middle Road. Middle Road from the intersection of Ross Corner to Things Mills Road, tentatively to be renamed Middle Road Extension. There has been some concern with the Middle Road Extension name because they felt that that would be equally confusing, and we have a suggestion from a resident that currently lives on Middle Road to rename that portion to Henderson Brook Road. Dave, if you'd go to the first slide. And then the next one, this was just to open it. Okay, this is an overview of the area that we're talking about. It's this portion right here. Middle Road at the current time goes down through here and goes up this way. Ross Corner Road goes down through here and goes up this way. Next slide, please. This is obviously how it looks at this time. Ross Corner Road comes down here and then goes off into a discontinued section of a dirt road in here, whereas Middle Road comes down and continues this way. Next slide, please. This is the proposal that's before us this evening, is to have Middle Road a contiguous way from West Road to the Clarks
Bridge Road.
Clarks Bridge Road. Ross Corner Road would stop here at this intersection, and this particular section of what is now Middle Road would be renamed to Henderson Brook Road, if that's acceptable to the parties up there. Next slide, please. This is what is currently known as Ross Corner Road. It's this section right here. There is some confusion along here because this portion from Middle Road to about here is impassable by car. It's this section right here of Ross Corner Road that can only be arrived at by going up the West Road by the high school. Now, what confuses this to some degree is this is the Ross Corner Road here, and it stops, and this little portion here is the West Road, and then when you get to the town line, it picks up and is Ross Corner Road again, and it goes down here and continues into Shapley. So there's multiple sections of the Ross Corner Road. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the portion of Ross Corner Road as it now exists that there's a petition to rename this the Middle Road. Next slide. This particular section of Middle Road will be renamed the Henderson Brook Road. Next slide. The Middle Road will then become one continuous road this way. Next slide. Ross Corner Road will run from the Middle Road out to where it's a long causeway, and then it'll connect with the West Road there. Next slide. Do we have any discussion on what has been presented here? Anybody care to speak for, against, or? Yes, sir. Yes, please, if you would.
Yeah, I live on Ross Corner. What bothers me is I got mail, I got stationery, I got friends that, have my address, I got bills, I got a checkbook, I'd have to change all that. Also credit cards, blah, blah. I have a driver's license. I'm not sure if I have to pay for a change of address, and the other roughly 30 residents that reside on Ross Corner would have to do that also. And I think there's roughly 30 people living roughly on Ross Corner and roughly 20 on Middle, but it's going to create some problems as far as the post office, and I don't want to pay for a change of address. I don't want to pay for new signs to be made up at taxpayers' expense. They're two different roads, and I don't know how it can be changed to one. It's a possibility where the roads intersect, you could have a sign saying Ross ends, Middle begins, and then going the opposite way, Middle ends, Ross begins. And then what confuses me too, I'd like to bring it up, is that town sign says Middle Road. A resident's got, who's probably here tonight, he's got a sign up there that says private road. It says local traffic only, please respect the landowner's request. And the other sign says private road, please respect his request. He doesn't want four-wheelers and whatnot, but can I go down that road? I'm a resident, I want to go down Middle Road. These signs are prohibiting me from going down there. I don't think that's right to begin with. So I wonder if Middle Road is a public road or a private road, as it exists right now, where it extends into the woods, where at that major intersection. It's a town sign. I believe it's a town road. I believe I can drive down it. Guy's got signs saying, dead end, don't come here. Of course, he don't like dirt bikes and whatnot. Yeah, I can understand that, but...
We may be able to help with that.
Pardon?
I might be able to answer that question for you.
You're up next, sir.
Well, I'm against it. I don't want to pay license fees. I don't want my mail screwed up. I don't want my checking account changed. I tell all my friends to send me mail somewhere else. And I don't want to pay for a change of address with the registry of motor vehicles. I don't want to pay for new signs at taxpayers' expense. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for an opportunity to be heard tonight.
Would you mind stating your name, please,
I'm
sir?
Peter Hassler. I live on the abandoned section of Middle Road. I guess the proposal here tonight is to rename that to Henderson Brook Road or Middle Road Extension. I have a lot of concerns about doing that. We maintain that section of road. It was, as near as we can tell, abandoned. That means that as owners, we really own to the center line of that road. The town probably maintains a public easement over that road. So that would mean, to answer this gentleman's question, that you could drive a vehicle down our road.
I can?
Yeah. As a member of the public, provided the town doesn't object, you could probably do that. That public easement does not cover anything that isn't like an ATV, a motorcycle, something like that. It's for if you wanted to come down and hunt. I mean, I know if you wanted to come down and hunt on my property, and you drove a legitimate vehicle down there, provided you could get permission to hunt down there, you'd be fine to do that.
Okay, it's a town road. I don't know how you can dictate who can drive down there.
It's not. We own it. We own.
Okay.
As abutters, we own to the center line of the road. The town does not own the roadbed anymore.
So your signs are, prohibiting people from going down there, right?
Yeah, because it's kind of a loosely held road association. We've had a lot of problems. We had some vandalism, we've had dumping, and we've had issues down there. So as kind of a makeshift maintenance committee, we've decided that we can't handle that, and we are paying, and the town probably doesn't want to subsidize us for damages. So that's why that is the way it is. back to the road change, which is to me the greater issue. Many people in our area have done surveys of their property. They all reference the middle road. The middle road is a very old road in this town. I certainly do not want to interfere with how the folks up on Ross Corner get their mail if they're having trouble with that, or the delivery vehicles that may come to their homes. The Winkles live down there. Bill Winkle, my neighbor, is here. To my mind, the vehicles that deliver our mail, that deliver us packages, have gotten used to homes being down there, and they've done a super job. So I'm getting my mail, my packages regularly. I really don't want our road name changed. We are very proud of it. We keep it up. It costs us quite a bit of money to plow it, keep it open. And it costs us quite a bit of money in gravel every spring to re-gravel it up and get it on grade. If we have anything to say about it, I guess I would prefer the name stay Middle Road. That being said, I don't want to stop the other folks who live up on the end of Ross Corner from changing their name if that suits them. To my mind, there's some future conflicts that also go along with this. I think sooner or later there's going to be a lot more homes down on our way than there are right now. There's been a lot of land surveying. I think people are thinking of cutting lots in the future. So naming us an extension of something doesn't really seem appropriate. There's going to be more homes. I think that the idea of naming or renaming a road, Middle Road Extension, kind of devalues the name. So I am for the status quo, at least on our end of the road. I like the idea of living on Middle Road. I like that it's an old road. I like that we're maintaining it and keeping it up. We have some pride in that. And it guess, to me, it's added expense, just as this gentleman stated, to go through lots of name changes. I'm also a little bit concerned when somebody does title searches now and land surveys and goes back through the records of God knows, 150 years, that suddenly we're going to have another road name change. So if it was up to me, not to stop you from doing something on the Middle Road, Ross Corner end, or renaming that one road something else, I would like to continue to live on Middle Road and be happy there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Abbott?
Todd Abbott, 54 Ross Corner Road. So I'm probably the reason that all you guys are here. I can very much understand this gentleman's point of view. Cost is associated with it. But again, the reason that I brought this forward to the selectmen is because I know of two instances, one of which was my instance and the other of which was Sue Tamil's, where they had, and we have called 911. The call goes in, such and such 54 Ross Corner Road, or whatever the Tamils are, and regardless if it's E911 or how they present the project or present where the directions need to go or whatever, my point is that Ross Corner is a location, and that location is not in North Waterboro. That location is in Shapley. When it takes 55 minutes for the sheriff's department to show up to a breaking and entering, and I have a wife and I have 3 children that have entered into that house, my concern is safety and not cost. I understand that there's cost involved, and I know that there will be cost, but I guess what I ask is weigh one against the other. What's more important, the safety of them actually responding to a call and getting there? I believe after we've had this discussion and have kind of started to talk about Ross Corner, there was a call that went in. There was a motorcycle accident on Ross Corner Road. Fire chief commented to the 911 personnel, which end of Ross Corner is it on? It's in the Shapley end. They went down Ross Corner Road on the Waterboro section and could not find the motorcyclist. The motorcyclist was on Ross Corner Road in Shapley, across from the intersection. I believe that Selectman Gordon pointed that out, that Ross Corner does extend up there. So I guess I don't know that I have a solution. My solution was to name the road back to Middle Road the way that it always had been, and knowing that the other road was private, you know, and knowing there was only 2 or 3 people that lived on that road, that was kind of the way that I had presented it. Again, that's my concern, is safety, and I want to make sure that when I call 911, they're going to show up and they're not going to end up in Ross Corner and Shapley. And if they do end up in Shapley, what's my legal recourse? Do you guys know?
Well, I think it's beyond the purview of this board to determine what your legal recourse is. That would be something that you'd have to discuss between you and your attorney should
Attorney, right.
an event arise.
I mean, I guess that's my,
necessitating that.
all right, that's my concern, is that if something doesn't get done and something happens, what, you know, what type of trouble, you know, I mean, what's the recourse? I mean, my concern is that I want somebody to show up to my house within 10 to 15 minutes when I call 911, not end up in Shapley. So, that's my point. I'm for the road change name, the name change, so.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this issue, for, against, indifferent, or
One more
suggestions?
comment?
Yes, sir.
Paul Holdsworth, whatever,
In the registry of deeds now, it's gonna, you know, such and such property bounded by, and this Ross Corner, this Middle Road, that's all subject to change. You know, and all these deeds, they're gonna have to be rewritten and redone. Thank you.
Now, is there anyone else in the audience that lives on this area? I do. Okay. We'd really like to hear from people.
Oh, I don't mind speaking.
Okay.
My name is Ivy Hassler. I'm Peter's wife, and I'm only living on the road probably a few months. I've never ever had a problem receiving a package of anything like this. I understand what this gentleman is saying, and I sympathise with him absolutely. And it sounds to me like Ross Corner is the problem he's having, not really the Middle Road. So I guess I'm confused why Middle Road is being suggested to being changed, the section we live on. And I'm actually against changing the name too, so if that helps.
I think one of the problems that we would have by leaving Middle Road, the Middle Road that you live on, and then renaming the section that he lives on as Middle Road, is now we're going to have Middle Road go up, and it's going to fork off into 2 different directions, a road with the same name, and I think that that's going to certainly create some confusion.
Yeah,
And
I guess
that's
I'm
why it
wondering
was
too.
suggested that if we rename that portion to the Middle Road, then we're going to have to change what is now the Middle Road so that we stop this confusion. One of the suggestions that we had received was Henderson Brook Road, if there was going to be a name change, because that is some historical merit, because Henderson Brook runs, you know, right alongside what is now the Middle Road there. Another suggestion, I believe, was Smith Brook Road, which is also up there. So that's the reason why, if we did one, we'd more or less have to do the other.
Right.
Unless you chose a unique name for Ross Corner and Middle Road, which you want to combine anyway. You'd only really have to rename one road. You just couldn't call it Middle Road.
The section that Mr. Abbott lives on.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I don't begrudge him changing that to Abbott Road or Abbott Lane or anything else,
No,
you know.
nor do I really care for it to be named anything Abbott, but, and I think that I would, you know, be willing to entertain any road name. My point is that when you call it Ross Corner,
It creates confusion.
it creates confusion because
Sure.
Ross Corner is a location and it's in a Chaplin.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mrs. Holt.
I am a landowner on Middle Road, the dirt section.
If you would kindly identify.
Oh, I'm sorry,
yourself.
Diane Holden.
Thank you.
And my husband and I do own property on the dirt section of now Middle Road. I have no problem with it being Middle Road Extension. I think that precedence has already been set in town, and I think growing up in town, we always thought of it being Middle Road from West Road to the Clacksbridge Road. And going back to 911 changes 10 years ago?
Yeah, 90s, mid-90s.
Yeah, I mean, everybody had to deal with changes at that point. A lot of people weren't happy, but, you know, that's the way life is. I've had a son that's lived on the Lake Sherburne end of Ross Corner Road, and they've had the same problems up there that Todd has had on his end. People are going to the wrong end of Ross Corner Road. So I think really something needs to be done there, and I think it makes sense to have the whole thing Middle Road and then have the dirt section Middle Road extension like you've set precedents before. So I guess that's all I have to say. And you don't have to change deeds. Deeds will not have to be changed because of that.
No, they didn't get changed in 901 one day, so.
My name's William Michael. I live on the dirt part of Middle Road, and I understand the problem with Ross Corner Road being split like that. It's kind of dysfunctional. But my concern is if we do decide to make it simpler by renaming it Middle Road all the way to Clark's Bridge Road and rename the dirt part Middle Road Extension, then I think we are going to be in a certain ambiguity. You know, when something happens on our road and they're hunting for Middle Road Extension, you know, I think that could be kind of confusing. So my vote would be to status quo, to leave it as it is. You know, possibly rename it North Ross Corner Road, something like that. Or have a unique name for that section.
Is there anybody that has not spoken that would like to speak to this issue?
I am Patrick Fennell. I'm a property owner on the dirt portion of the Middle Road. My concern is with what it would do to the current deeds and surveys for the people on the dirt portion of the Middle Road and for the paved portion of the Ross Corner Road. I can understand the confusion. Has there ever been any talk of finishing the dirt portion of the Ross Corner Road to continue it over Buff Brook to make it passable? And would that solve any problems?
I know that the road commissioner has mentioned it, but because of the overall infrastructure of the roads of the entire town, I don't see that as something that would be entertaining within the near future, because there's just so many other things that need to be taken care of first. There's no development, obviously, that's down in there, and it would be a very, very costly undertaking, because there's bridge work that would have to take place. And, so I just don't see it happening in, you know, anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless there was a major developer that came in and, you know, said that, okay, we're going to build a road. I mean, I don't see that happening.
Okay, that's my main concern, was the deeds and the surveys as they are now.
Where do you live on the?
I don't live on it. I have a property which does show up on the map. I have 40 acres.
Okay, I thought I misunderstood, because I just drove down there this morning. There was only 2 houses.
Right.
Unless you built one this afternoon.
I own the dump truck that's on the
Oh,
right-hand
yes, I
side.
did see that. I did see that tucked away down there, yeah.
Yes. So I understand the confusion with the Ross Corner Road, and I'm surprised it's taken this long to come up. But I guess that's my only concern right now, is the deeds and surveys as they are.
Let me just address the deeds and surveys. You know, back in the mid-90s, when all of this changed, it was called an E911. It was statewide. Waterboro, like every other town, had to go and potentially identify every road, rename a lot of the roads, because there was like Lake Drive and Lake Street. You cannot do that with E911 because of the similarities. So, I mean, if you look at Daring Ridge Road was Clough Road on one end, and it was Cotton Road on the other end. All those old deeds called out Cotton Road and Clough Road. Any deeds that then get processed as time goes on, because it's now Daring Ridge Road, all right, there's a simple call out that it was at one time Cotton Road, okay, and now referred to as Daring Ridge Road. So I think that, I'm not saying that it's not problematic, but I think when we did this statewide and we created E911, And every call you make on a cell phone and every call you make on your home phone, there's a little surcharge that goes to pay for E911 statewide. There was a lot of names that were changed, a lot of road names that were changed, and ultimately, that's when the so-called Middle Road, which ran from West Road to Clark's Bridge Road, was renamed from the intersection to Clark's Bridge Road, Ross Corner Road, right? So it was whether that was ever one continuous road, I'm sure at one time it was. I mean, well before our time, there used to be quite a population settled on that side of the mountain, right, instead of on this side. But that goes way, way back. But the deed issue, understand that certainly you don't have to run out and change the deed, but if you sell your property at some point in time and your street name changed, there's going to be a call out to the previous street name to the new street name. So that's not something that becomes administratively burdensome. I think that happens. If nobody sells anything, nobody sells anything. But I think if you follow some of those deeds, you'll see that they're simply called out differently. And they're updated. I mean, we've got roads that, a lot of roads changed in this town and the names changed for whatever reason. And believe me, there was a committee established and I wouldn't have wanted to made some of the choices that they made, but they made them and it was presented to the town and that's the way that it was done. There was certainly a lot of, how do I want to phrase this without sounding too harsh?
Significantly
there
emotional
was
moments.
significant emotional events on why was my street being changed. But it happened. We got through it. The post office changed. I mean, we had sections of town that used to get postage in mail from the town of Hollis that now became, and that were actually in Waterboro, that then became East Waterboro Post Office. So there were a lot of stuff that got changed. So I don't think that a simple name change becomes insurmountable to all of those things.
Yeah.
Yes, there have to be changes with your personal street address and et cetera, et cetera. And I guess we can talk all of those things until we're blue in the face, but
Were you saying that Middle Road used to run to Clark's Bridge Road?
when all of us that have been around for many, many years grew up, that was Middle Road. And it was Middle Road, because the other two sections of
It
those
wasn't.
roads were never finished.
It wasn't Ross Corner Road.
Ross Corner Road ran from the corner, okay,
Yeah.
up through Henderson, I mean, not Henderson Brook, but Buff Brook. And if there was ever a Buff Brook Estates, which at one time there was a plan for, okay, I'm sure that access to that road would have been much different than what it is today. But where the dam blew out and that drain went down the stream, that's been, and those are both discontinued roads. From the town's perspective, the town has no, it could change during a town meeting, but currently those sections, the dirt part of Ross Corner Road and the dirt part of Middle Road are discontinued roads as far as the town is concerned.
Okay.
So there's no municipal funds would be spent on those roads as a normal part of doing business.
Okay. Regardless of which way the road names goes, it sounds like there might be a dispatch problem from what happened to Mr. Abbott.
Yeah, and again, I hate to keep going back to it, but if you're an emergency personnel and you know Ross Corner is a location,
Yeah.
you get in your car and they tell you such and such a Ross Corner Road, and you know that somebody's hurt and you gotta get there, and you take the wrong road, you got a 15-minute ride to get back to the other place.
Right.
You know, I mean, and not faulting, I know E911, after my incident, I called 911, had them change the location of the directions, because the directions used to have anybody coming to Ross Corner Road, take a left on West Road, take a right onto Middle Road, and Ross Corner's on the other end. The problem is, as soon as they told you to take a left on West Road, you go on to the other end of West Road, which is where Ross Corner is. So, you know, I'm not saying
You
that,
can get to Roscona Road by one of two rights off from West Road.
yeah,
Or one down by the high school, or
Right.
one up by
right.
Base Landing.
What about, I mean, can the 911 be instructed through police and through our fire too, that you have Ross Corner, Waterboro, Ross Corner, Shapley? And Ross Corner, Shapley puts you up the West Road, Ross Corner, Waterboro puts you down the Middle Road. And that becomes relearned, and it becomes a part of the instruction.
Dave, can we back up on the slide presentation?
Thank you for letting me speak.
That does sort of work, with the exception that there is a Ross Corner
Okay,
Road
right,
in
that one
town.
right there.
So the problem, John, is that if you see where it says impassable by car,
Yep.
that's Roscona Road and Waterboro.
Yeah,
And then from that point up to the lake, or almost up to West Road, that's Roscona Road.
This is Ross Corner Road here.
So you have, there's literally, there is a Roscona Road in Waterboro, separated by, what's the length of that? About a mile plus of impassable road.
Basically, right now, you have two Ross Corner roads.
Yeah, you have two Roscona Roads in Waterboro. One that's accessible from West Road up in Roscona, and the other one that's accessible off of Clark's Ridge Road in North Waterboro,
Up here.
or the Middle Road.
And then if you say Shapley, it's gonna, if there's an incident here, and you label that as the Shapley end, the emergency vehicles are gonna go here, because this is Ross Corner and Shapley, which continues on up through until you get to the Owl's Nest.
But there's different numbers on those roads, right? I mean, if
That's
you say Ross Corner, Shapley, and it's in Waterboro, and the number is 28, and the Shapley starts at 140, then anybody would know that when you're dispatched, that 40 Ross Corner Road, Shapley, you take a right rather than a left. Yeah.
And I know this will be a change, but I guess it would be nice if Matt was here, because I think we need some input from the fire chief, but the point is would simply changing we'll say the North Waterboro end of Ross Corner Road to all have a prefix of 1,000, so instead of having 54 Ross Corner Road, have 1,054 Ross Corner Road, does that send a message to dispatch that says you're now in North Waterboro?
Yeah, that may be. Could you also say Ross Corner Road North, then go numbers?
Yeah, well, you got a section
Yeah.
here that's north, and then the section over here, which would be, I guess, northwest.
What's the section in the middle that is not Ross?
This section
No,
here,
the one on the left, towards the left.
right here,
Yes.
West Road.
this section right here is West Road. It goes Ross Corner Road till you get to the intersection here, and then it's West Road till you get to the town line, then it changes back to Ross Corner
In
Road
Shapley, yeah.
in Shapley.
Driven that, yeah.
So this is a little misleading, because when the West Road comes in there, it's West Road. There is no, you got a little bit of a road coming out that's Ross Corner Road, or it's actually
Long Causeway.
Causeway Road, right?
Yeah.
Ross Corner
Yeah,
Road.
Long Causeway comes out right here.
Right, so they both come out, they're a side street coming out to a secondary road. West Road is the secondary road, so this is a little misleading the way that it's
Does anyone
depicted.
live on that lower section of Ross Corner Road?
Say again?
Does anyone live on that lower section of Ross Corner
You
Road?
mean the section here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's quite a number of houses, and there's a housing development up there. There's a couple of roads that are off to the side here, and then there's a couple more off on the lake side as
So
well.
there's three possibilities, just to call the dispatch.
Sure.
Yes.
And it all comes out of, not to blame dispatch, but it all comes out of Sanford, right? Shapley comes out of Sanford, Waterboro comes out of Sanford. There's three municipalities that own Roscona Fire or the equipment at Roscommon Fire Station, Waterboro, Alford, and
It's
Shapley.
located right there.
And that's located right there, so, there's a whole host of reason for confusion. Which, and, you know, shame on all of us, we should have been doing this 10 years ago when it got renamed, but, you know, the fact of the matter is there was so much that was being done that you didn't get down to the nitty-gritty of one or two roads that were problematic.
Well, I think too that in naming roads, towns typically name them for where they're going to. And that's what happened, Waterboro named it because the road went to Roscommon, Shapley named it because their roads go to Roscommon.
So,
I'll also point out that 10 years ago, when they named the road, there was a dirt section in the middle of what we know as Middle Road.
that's right. I mean,
There was not
let's face it,
finished,
Middle
so
Road-
it was paved on the, West Road side, and it was paved on what we know as Ross Corner, but there was about 2 miles or a mile and a half of it that was dirt. So when 911 came through, it wasn't as big of a deal. Now it's a paved road all the way through, and you probably have got, 20, 30 more families living up there than they used to live up there, so.
Anyone that has not spoken that would like to speak? Okay, sir, you want to have a second comment?
Just one minor comment. Originally, maybe you'll alleviate the problem, like I said, was have a sign, you gotta have signs and pay for them. It says Ross ends, middle begins at that intersection, and middle ends, Ross begins. And Waterboro, so you know you're in Waterboro, you know this road ends, you know this one begins. You got, cops gotta go somewhere, they shouldn't have a problem with that. Especially if you're calling in something, you gotta call the right town anyway, so. You know you're in Waterboro, you know you're leaving Middle to go to Ross, you're leaving Ross, you're going, that would straighten it out, you don't have to rename a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, I don't think that the issue is this particular intersection right here, is what you're referring to. The issue is that we have a piece of Ross Corner Road here, a piece in the middle that's impassable, and then another piece over here. When the call comes in from here, Mr. Abbott's concern is that they respond to this section up here. Now, the only way to get back to him over here is to go all the way back down West Road by the high school out to 202, down 202, pick up 5, or go down just before the high school and hit the middle road and cut across there. So either way, we're talking a long time.
But one of the things is, as Dave said, you could have that 911 has the numbers of Ross Corner Road, and the numbers between this in Waterboro is Ross Corner North. And between this number and this number in Waterboro is Ross Corner South.
That's how
So-
it's set up now, currently, though.
They're supposed to have on the dispatch console, when you call in and your number pops up, there's another window that opens up to the side of that that tells the directions exactly how to get to that particular location. And it may be that those need some revision. And I can talk with, the person that's in charge over there, is the former fire chief in Sanford, it's now taken
Like I
over.
said, I do know that they've changed it now, so that at least if anything comes through as a low number on Ross Corner Road, that they will go to North Waterboro, take a left onto Clark's Bridge Road, and then take a left onto Ross Corner Road. But again, I'm not calling for technology, I'm calling for the human instinct to get to where you gotta go quick. That's what I'm calling for, and it's happened twice that I know of. And in fact, a third time after we've had this discussion, and, it was the Shapley end of Ross Corner, actually in Shapley, so.
And I understand this is a public hearing, but, I mean, I think we need, at least in this room, somebody from dispatch, our fire chief, and the sheriff, if that's what it takes, and say, listen, guys, we have what appears to be an issue here. You guys are the public safety experts. How do we deal with this? Is it a road name change? Or is it some other definition that says when Joe the dispatcher gets the call that's on the corner of Ross Corner and Clark's Bridge Road, which would be one Roscommon Road, right? Where do they go? Do they go to Roscommon or off on West Road? I mean, somehow, if they don't have the local knowledge, this isn't the first time. We used to be dispatched out of Gray. So you might as well be dispatched out of Bangalore, India, right?
Which I'm surprised we're not.
So,
Because there's two issues, one I think that Todd was talking about too. One is you can probably get dispatch straightened out to be sensitive to the differences there. And the fire chief but then there's the volunteer people who volunteer fire, volunteer EMTs that may not have that same information too, and instinctively they head out West Road. So I mean that's another issue. I'm sure it can be dealt with, but it's it becomes a little more problematic, I think, than changing 911.
So I know with my son's house, when I had it for sale, everybody wanted to use their GPS to get there. And they would call me and they'd be on the North Waterboro, and that's where the GPS is taken. Even though they had the number of his house, they'd go to the North Waterboro and I'd have to talk them back out. So that's a problem, because if you've got your volunteers that are going out and they're depending on the GPS, that's taking them to the wrong end.
And shouldn't it be intuitive for the average person driving down the street who comes across an accident to be able to call in and say, I'm on such and such a road? You know, forget about the emergency dispatchers, how about people just driving down the road?
Yes, sir.
My name's Steve Poisson, live on the Roscommon Road, and Mr. Todd, yeah, we'll talk a few times. I've called 911 a few times right on that sharp curve on Roscommon Road, Middle Road. Been a few accidents. I always stated when I call 911 is I'm on the Middle Road side, and it always seems dispatch. I think when they tone out, they also say Middle Road side possibly when they dispatch it.
You live in that white rancher in the corner there?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. But, there's been a few accidents there. I've
Yeah.
called in, boom, they responded quickly to that location. But I've always stated the Middle Road side of the Roscommon Road. And it seems to work. But, you're on the other end, I'm not sure. But it seems to be an education on dispatch problem instead of a street change.
It's also, especially when we're going to all of these mapping systems and GPS systems. David, if you Google 54 Roscommon Road, Waterboro, Maine, it'll put a pin right in the middle of that impassable car area.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So, I mean, there are some problems inherent with those systems. And you're right, now it becomes the onus is on you to say, where am I?
Exactly.
And if you're on a road, and as David suggested, and something happens to you, I think I'm on Roscommon Road,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah, but I think it's more of an education on what John's been saying at the dispatch, hopefully.
pull that up.
Yeah.
You see where McClucas Road is?
Yeah.
54 is way down on the other side of McClucas Road, almost to Clark's Bridge Road. That's where your house is, right?
Yeah, I mean, like the fourth house.
So that's
We're on the-
where
we're on the-
I entered anyway,
That's the West Road now, okay. Yeah, it puts it right in the,
So the numbers aren't necessarily,
We're in the swamp.
yeah.
And people in an emergency situation don't always give as much information as they should either. I mean, they're given the number and the road name, they think that that's sufficient.
And a good dispatcher should be asking for that extra information, but sometimes that doesn't always happen when somebody is, very excited. If you got a choking child or something, you're not thinking, really clearly sometimes.
I think safety overrules other concerns, but I don't think we have
the right answers here. I think we need to, what Dennis said is to get the fire, emergency, dispatch in Sanford and figure out where are the flaws. I mean, maybe the flaws are technical more than name, I don't know. But I hate to take more time, but...
I'd appreciate you folks doing that before you change the name of our road.
I would agree.
I would appreciate doing some real research.
Okay, we've been discussing this for close to 45 minutes now. Chair will entertain a motion to reschedule this public hearing at a time when we can have public safety officials present, to include the E911 PSAP, Public Safety Answering Point out of Sanford here, because they do the dispatching for Waterboro.
I will move that we,
Sheriff's Office, State Police.
I will move that we adjourn this public hearing and as soon as possible reschedule it with the appropriate 911 and fire and police personnel here in order to get the information. That's the motion. Just the explanation is, again, that I agree with David that that safety comes first, but if you can fix it without changing all the road names and get an acceptable fix, these are the people that can tell you how to do it. So we need to have them here. So as soon as possible, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we can get this reconvened.
And I would like to add, John, the residents will be notified of the hearing.
Right.
I would second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn this public hearing until such time as the appropriate emergency personnel can also be present with the residents. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. I'd like to thank everybody for participating in this. It's these opportunities when we have public input that helps us arrive at, hopefully, is the best decision for all. Thank you.
Well, for most, anyway.
Just give it a brief moment for the room to clear a little bit before we continue. Next item on the agenda is the hearing of delegation. Is there anyone present who has any comment or that they'd like to make? Question? Seeing none, we move on to the town administrator's report. The town administrator is currently still recuperating from surgery. It's my understanding that she has had the stitches removed and is progressing well at this point, and will be in tomorrow. So hopefully next week we'll have that administrator's report for you. Selectmen's report. Anything the selectmen would like to report at this time?
Start. You can.
Okay. I'd like to have Clint report on the compactor.
Could you tell us, just give us a little history on this so that people listening in, and myself too, can remember that we bought the compactor, that we hired it to be put in place, and then what happened? Bring us up to...
Well, you put it out to bid to have the electrical work, the cement and all that done, right? That was all done during the winter. And now we have, the problem we have now is Atlantic Recycling, or Atlantic Leasing now, when they came over with their men to do some work on the machine, to set it up, set the pressure up so that it would push more. He shut off the breaker box behind him. There's a quick disconnect box. You just pull the lever down. And then he took his electrical probes, put it in there, and everything in that machine is alive, okay? That's where the problem started. So they backed out and said they did not want to work on the machine again until that was straightened out.
Can you tell me, when you said that's when the problem started, is it the problem inherent in the machine that we bought or in the installation of the machine?
I would say it's the installation. They were given a schematic, and if it had been wired totally that way, I can see what they did and why they did it, but it should have had just one quick disconnect. It would, like the rest of them we got down there, you pull one lever down, it kills everything in there, right from the pole back through so that nobody can get hurt. As it is now, if I called an electrician and he didn't take the cover off and check in there and he got fooling around, he could get electrocuted. Because that breaker that's down there now, the breaker that was there, that only shut off the motor. It did not shut off the electricity coming in from the pole to the rest of the machine.
Okay, so I mean, a concern, I just want to know from this perspective is, we're not concerned with who we bought the compactor from. It's the installation of the compactor that is problematic.
I think that, yes.
As far as the electricity is concerned,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
fine,
and really not that it doesn't run it, it's a safety issue called lockout tagout, and there should be a pretty specific, I can, lock this out and tag it out, and it is dead, and I can work on any of the components once it's locked out and tagged out. The issue here was it could be locked out, there was still a feed to the pump. So the question was the lockout tagout sufficient? The rest kind of is history of a bunch of finger pointing, but, I think when all is said and done, that the finger pointing is over, we've got a resolution to it, right? My concern is that, is the resolution done, and are we on to getting it running?
They've rewired what they had to inside. They put in, they labeled all the boxes, but they did not label them to what the electrical inspector asked them to. They have put another box on the big gray box there that has the VFD, which my understanding is, what they're telling me now, you pull that down, it kills everything from the pole right back through. There's no power. That'll always have to be up when we're running that machine. The two down, there's two down below, which is the confusion. They both, if you want to shut it down, you've got to shut 3 of these things off. Okay?
Well, that does not conform to what the electrical inspector told us a week ago, does it?
No, Lucas told me, it was 4:45 and he called me, and he said that everything was done, they just left there, and that his father decided to put this box in to make everybody happy. The electrical inspector, everybody should be happy. Now, we're back at, that's why Patty just emailed the electrical inspector. He wanted us to do this through Patty, that's the way I understood it. So, she's emailed him now. Tomorrow we'll get an answer back, what day he'll come down, and he's the one, I guess, that's going to say, yes, this is right, or I don't like it. Because he told him exactly what he wanted.
So is Lucas saying that they went above and beyond that and got a single kill switch? Because if that's not the case, then the electrical inspector is going to come down and say, you didn't do what I wanted you to do.
That may happen.
We got another week's delay. So somebody needs to talk to Lucas, and if they haven't done what the electrical inspector wants or more to be on the safer side, then they need to go fix that.
I will talk to Lucas.
I think from what Lucas told me tonight, the new box that he added should be the number one. Everybody should shut that off when they're going to do anything to that machine, clean it or anything. The truck drivers, when they come in, that's the one they should be shutting off.
But if I understand what you said, shutting that one off still leaves the other two down by the machine itself.
Yes. And I mean, that's what the electrical inspector said. These have got to be very clearly marked. And I don't know if this is, what this is going to do, if it's going to confuse people or what, but
Well, my put would be, is if somebody goes in there, throws one switch, and the thing is dead, right?
right.
Now, if they've done that, my guess, they could call the electrical inspector, and he'd say, okay, you took it one step further than what I wanted, because we had multiples, and you had these signs to go tell you what to
Right.
do. But if they didn't do that, then we're right where we were. So, I guess we need the electrical inspector.
I look at it from the perspective, if you're a contractor going there to pick up refuse or whatever, are you going to have to run around in circles around that compactor to find the right switch to throw?
This is what I'm saying. Yeah. The other two are wired so that you walk downstairs, there's one lever, you pull it down, you lock it out, and everything is dead in that machine.
Yep.
From the pole right down through, all those boxes are dead.
Is there sufficient signage for any person that walks down there to know that this is the one you pull
Well-
and not the other two?
No, they're waiting for these had to be, what they call, engraved. He wants these engraved, and they're in plastic, you've seen those signs, and somebody over to Sanford makes them, that's where he told them to go get them, and they're supposed to be on each box. But what I'm saying now is, now we've got another box that can be thrown off to kill everything. Is that gonna confuse people? But it's really gotta be marked clearly.
I'm saying, if the person running the machine falls into the machine, John Q. Public can come by and says, off switch, switches it off, anybody can do it, I can do it, anybody can do it, and it kills the whole system. Is that
Well, that's
the way it
the
is?
emergency switch.
We have an emergency switch up on the top, there's a red button, you just hit that, and that stops the machine from moving.
Okay.
It's the people that would come and actually service this machine that would be in trouble.
With the,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or did you say the truck driver had to shut something off then?
Well, when they're down cleaning the front of that machine and that the ram is, it's supposed to be all the way forward. And if it isn't, they should be shutting that off every time they go in there, which they do, usually. They shut that off, and that makes sure if their arm is in there or they're cleaning it out, that they're not gonna get caught.
I don't like this, which they do usually. It's got to be which they do all the time.
What I'm saying is, the two other machines we got there, that's the way it works. You shut that one thing off and, you can climb through it, do anything. It's dead, as long as you've got a padlock on it, it's locked out.
That's the way this one should be done, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But I know David was there, and I got, at the point, I thought we were rewiring, I thought we were gonna have one box, and then the electrical inspector, and they kept going around. And the talk was getting kind of above my head, so that, we're gonna have a sign for this and a sign for that, warning sign over the top, and,
I thought it was one box killed. They had to redo, instead of the pull-out fuses, he
Yeah.
wanted a throw switch
yeah.
to kill everything.
See, one of them's got an arm that you pull down, and the other one you have to lift up a little door, pull a breaker out, turn it around and put it back in. Then now they've got another one up at the pole that supposedly kills everything.
It should be simple enough so you don't need a master's electrician license just to shut the thing off.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, that if they'd followed the schematic that was sent over by the one that sold us the machine, we would have had one box. That's what it was supposed to have.
So we don't know when the inspector's gonna be here.
I emailed him at 6 when Clint came in, and
Okay.
he'll get right back to me in the morning. He's
Okay.
really good about that, so I'll let you know tomorrow.
Okay. Anything else, Clint?
No. Did you get the quotes on fixing the ram and all that? I left them with Nancy, you know.
Yeah, we got it.
This too.
That will be for another discussion.
How's that?
Could Dennis or someone refresh my memory on our procedure on purchase orders? When are they necessary and when are they not?
I guess it's a good question. Without looking at the policy, you're looking at the dollar trigger.
Yeah, I think everybody, once they go over the dollar figure, regardless of who you are,
Yeah.
has to have a purchase
Right.
order.
That's what the
That's my
policy
understanding
says,
is. Even if you're,
Right. Even if you're a selectman.
yeah. Okay, that's what I need to know. Another thing is the town clerk's review, her, what do you want to call it?
Performance review?
Well, she's up, probation is
6
coming
months.
up here. Is there any procedure we need to do to go over a
Should be
review?
Nancy.
Before
That's
she
the
becomes...
purview of the
That's
town
the
administrator.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah, thank you.
If the board doesn't mind, Mr. Lucas just entered the room, if he would,
It's not Mr. Lucas.
If I have a minute? I think we've got some little misunderstandings going on, but hope to straighten this out.
It wouldn't be the first time on
Yeah, I understand. There was an issue brought up about the disconnect aspect of the compactor. After 3 hours with the state inspector, with David and everybody else, it's come down to a labeling issue. We have gone ahead and we have swapped out the disconnect that is the big issue. The problem I'm having with this, the wires that are charging this unit, that was in discussion, were not even installed by the electrician, they were installed by the equipment installer himself. Which we went ahead and installed a disconnect that was supposed to have been wired in by the technician himself on his request. We have since changed it out to a hand lever because he was not liking the disconnect. He didn't like the pull. It was a pull style. Nothing wrong, it worked. Now it's been changed and we have now added the lever that everybody's all concerned about. According to code, the breaker was more than sufficient. The manufacturer was not happy with that. He does not like that, so we have gone ahead and there is a main disconnect on the side of the VFD box that shuts everything off, including the other two by the machine. Because technically the technician can only go into the machine himself. So, it's been covered. There is 5 different ways of shutting that machine off. There's 5 different ways you have to make sure it still runs now, within 30 feet. It's been very basic, and I apologize, but this has been getting blown away out of proportion. I mean, it's not like it's out of code or anything else. It was just the manufacturer of the machine didn't like it. We have since relabeled everything. We're working on getting permanent signs like we had discussed, but I can't make permanent signs overnight. But till then, they're all mechanically labeled with stickies like most places do. I mean, they're just basic labels. They stick on. Electricians have been doing it for years. Everything is marked. I mean, there's so many, if you can't figure out how to shut this machine off, you shouldn't be working on this machine. I'm just stating my fact right now. It has been taken care of, and once the inspector is done with it, it is all ready to go.
So when you mentioned there's 5 different ways of turning it off, that any one of those 5 ways shuts down the whole thing? You don't have
If you
to
walk,
do
starting
2?
from the compactor, the main disconnect, which they thought would shut the whole machine off, it shuts the motor to the machine off, which is the driver disconnect. The man who changes the container has to shut the machine off before he disconnects the can. That's all he has to touch, because now that machine will not run. I don't care if you put the key in it, you can poke it, you can do whatever you want. It won't run. To get into the machine guts itself, you have to go to the littler one, shut that switch off, which shuts the oil heater and the control wire, which are two 110 circuits that have been run from the VFD by the equipment manufacturer or the installer himself to feed his controls and his oil heater, which is on a thermostat that shuts itself on and off. It's all covered. The key to the thing is that originally that switch was not hooked up because he was supposed to come back and hook it up himself. It sat there for months with nothing in it. Then they sent a different service tech to show up, and he is trying to get into the machine and is where he's finding electricity. It's not that the whole machine's live, the control wire is live because the switch was not hooked up.
No, but just simplifying this now,
Yes.
simplifying this so that anybody can understand it, is there one switch that a technician comes in, hits that switch, the whole thing is dead?
If you were to start from the machine, you could walk your way all the way through, or you could start at the pole and hit the main breaker to begin with, which was the original disconnect, which in most wiring situations with a breaker panel, that's how they lock it out, and they just put a lock. He didn't like that. So we have installed a separate switch on the side of the big VFD box. So technically you could shut it off multiple ways.
Okay.
Now, I mean, there's 100, depends how deep. But if it's just the equipment guy, he's not even supposed to be into the VFD box. He's only as far as the equipment. So he can go right there and lock them both out separately. Like I said, there's multiple procedures now as to how that can be done. The only thing that has not done, the official weatherproof made-up signs, because I got to come up with literature and everybody's going to be happy with it. And, I mean, because it's very basic, but I don't know. I'm just having a concern because anybody that's supposed to be working on electric equipment, there's procedures you're supposed to take to work on any piece of equipment. I'm sorry, it's just, and if you, within 30 feet, you can see all the disconnects, all the way to the telephone pole. So, I mean, I'm really having a hard time with all of this talk about not installed properly. It's just, in my opinion this was never an issue right up until that compactor did not push the tonnage that he said it would push. And ever since then, it's been one thing after another. He keeps coming back, but it's not like he hasn't known all this stuff has been done. He's been in and out a million times. And like I said, it's come down to this machine won't push the tonnage he says it is, and now all of a sudden everything else is turning into a mess.
Well, we do have to meet the code, you know that.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And as you were there, you understood, well, after 3 hours of discussing the whole thing, we are in code. There was misunderstanding on how the procedure should be written out, as came the permanent sign, and we discussed wire sizes, which turned out to be fine, and all this other stuff. And the disconnect was legal and all of this. I mean, like I said, I'm just trying to clarify this, that it's being particular at this point. And now it is set up exactly the way he wants. Like I said, anybody in the world can do whatever. I mean, you could shut that off multiple ways. You probably got $700 in disconnects in 30 feet, so counting the breaker. I mean, it's just tons. I mean, I don't know how you could possibly electrically make something sound. And if he's educated enough to go into that machine and play with wiring, then he should know how to lock out his equipment. And
The bottom line now becomes is the state electrical inspector. If he's happy, we're happy.
as far as I know,
If not, we'll be having a conversation.
he's been called, and I believe, I don't know, so he might be getting in touch with you. I mean, he's supposed to get out and look. But everything is marked. It's not the professional sign yet. I got to work up some literature and figure out exactly how many. And like I said, this is just for such one machine shut off, it's turned into a lot of things. I mean, there's reasonings why certain things are charged all the time and they're not. Because if you don't leave the VFD charged, you have to wait 5 minutes for it to warm up every time. So if everything was all disconnected every time, it's not practical. The way of technology today, it has to be sitting on standby. It's like in sleep mode. It's like your TV. So that's all I have to say about it.
Okay,
Any more questions?
one of the problems we've had, Lucas, you know
Yes.
this, is that we're always missing somebody at a meeting.
Yeah.
When the inspector comes and he lets Patty know, is it okay if she lets you know so that you're there too, and we can finish this thing.
I've been there right along, and I'll be there whenever you need me to.
Okay.
Just to make this, this is, to me, it seems to be getting blown way out of proportion, and I about put off my couch and hit the ceiling. So I'm here to straighten it out. Any questions about anything, please ask me.
I'm glad you landed up down here
I'm,
after you got off the couch.
yes, I bounced and off I came. So if anybody has any questions about anything, please ask.
Thank you.
I can
There seems to be
see,
a lot of communication issues with this, and I just trying to get everything straightened out.
I could see when you came through the door that there was a certain level of frustration. And I think that from what you heard from the board, there's a certain level of frustration from us as well. And, you know, the more this thing has gone on, the larger than life it has taken on, to the point where anyone viewing the proceedings of the Board of Selectmen will sit back and say, geez, you know, those guys don't have a clue what they're doing.
Well, I've
You
seen
know,
it
and,
when we were there at the meeting. It took us 3 hours. When we started off, it was an extreme safety hazard. By the time it got done, it wasn't. It was, everything was up, and it's basically to the sketch. The only thing that was missing was the big red handled lever disconnect, which we had considered the breaker. He didn't like that. So that was the only qualm come the end of it.
There have been varying degrees of dangerousness, I guess you could say. That
Like I said,
we've
I don't like that being thrown around as if it was dangerous, because it really wasn't. It was just a misunderstanding on a disconnection process, as far as I was.
Well, we had received what we felt was credible information from the manufacturer and the electricians, or the state electrician, that live wire, or that the whole unit down there was energized and had the potential for electrocuting somebody,
Yes.
quite frankly. And, you know, this has been bandied back and forth, and we have a position where we've got to make sure that everything is just A-OK down there. I mean, we can't afford to have anyone hurt because of, you know, an error that's taken place, and we just sat back and did nothing about it. But we're getting so many, I guess, stories from so many, or so many different versions of it, that it's heightened our sense of frustration, and we want to get to the bottom of it and say, you know, we want to be done with this, because, quite frankly, we're tired of listening to it.
This is becoming Parks and Rec's budget all over again.
Yeah.
No, like I said, it's up, it's exactly as their picture is. Like I said, and it pretty much was, other than didn't have the one lever, it was the breaker panel. Which, in theory, he was concerned about his lock, but then again, the same key opens both panels. So before he can get into one, he has to be able to get into
So
the other one.
Patty, you made contact. We'll see where we go with this.
I think that we can probably move on from this emotionally significant event.
This is a emotional significant.
Okay, did you have something, John?
Yeah, Lucas is here. I got an up-close and personal escort through a smoke-filled house with holding on to Lucas's coat, so to speak. What I'm saying is the fire department had a controlled burn up on Ospey Hill Road this past